All right, welcome everybody to another edition of the Florida Physique Report. This is episode number 42. Today is September 23rd, 2015. And on today's show, we are going to have a couple of guests. We have part two of our interview with Dr. Scott Stevenson. We had a part one of that interview last week on the Florida Physique Report. Very interesting interview with Dr. Stevenson about how you can tailor your training routine to your individual genetics. Dr. Stevenson is a very well-respected member of the fitness and bodybuilding community. A lot of people are big fans of his when it comes to muscle physiology and exercise, and he really knows what he's talking about. So you'll definitely want to check out part two of that interview later on in our show. Before that, we have an interview with Michael Mattassa, and Michael is the co-promoter of the Daytona Beach Classic, which takes place this weekend out, of course, in Daytona Beach. And he is the co-promoter with Tony Curtis, and we're going to talk to Mike about the contest. I believe this is their 5th or 6th year promoting the show. So we're going to talk about what's in store this weekend at the Daytona Beach Muscle Classic, or the Daytona Beach Classic, I should say. Before we get to that, we're going to go over our results of last week's show, which was the Gainesville Classic, and also the Mr. Olympia competition took place last week. And we got results from that. A lot of Florida competitors did really well. And before we get to all that, we want to go over what's going on this weekend on September 26th. This is our last weekend in September. It flew by. And we've got two competitions again, as normal in Florida. We've got two competitions this weekend. The first one, as I mentioned, is the Daytona Beach Classic, which takes place in Daytona Beach. It's actually at the Daytona State College. The venue is the News Journal Center, and it looks like a really, really nice place. The guest posers are going to be Danny Reardon, who is a women's physique competitor from Florida, who just did really, really well at the Olympia. And she is going to be joined by Michael Lockett, who is an IFBB pro, and he has not been out here yet in the Florida area guest posing, so it'll be really interesting to see him. So that takes place again this weekend. For more information on that, go to npcdaytonabeachclassic.com. Also taking place this weekend is the Ruby Cup Championships, which is a national qualifier. It's always a big contest. It takes place in Boca Raton, Florida. Andreas Miller is the promoter. And for information on that contest, go to rubychampionships.com. And I believe Mike Sansevero, our local photographer out in the South Florida area, is going to be out there taking pictures. So we will have the photo report of that contest next week. That's always a good contest. South Florida always brings the tough competition. All right, so let's go over the results this weekend. First of all, let's talk about the Olympia. The Olympia Championships, the Olympia Weekend they call it now because there's so many different events, was a gigantic event. The biggest weekend in bodybuilding took place over the weekend in Las Vegas from September 17th through the 20th. A lot of competitions going on. In the Mr. Olympia contest, of course, Phil Heath repeated again for win number 5. But the story of the night was Dexter Jackson, Jacksonville, Florida's own Dexter Jackson, coming in at 45 years old. Dexter, of course, is a Mr. Olympia winner himself in 2008, and he's been training really, really hard the last couple years. And this year was his best shape ever since I think he won the contest. And to take second place at 45 years old, an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations to Florida's own Dexter Jackson on such a great event, great showing this year. I also want to mention in the women's physique division, like I said, Danny Reardon took 4th place, which was an amazing accomplishment for Danny. She's only 26 years old. It was her very first Olympia contest, so congratulations to her. The best is ahead for her. She's got a lot of energy. She was super, super stoked. First time she had ever been to Vegas, first time she had ever even seen the Olympia. So to take 4th place in her first one, she got a lot of good coverage from all the media that was covering it. Everybody was really, really high on Danny, so it's going to be great to see her this weekend guest posing. In the figure Olympia, Latora Watts, who is from the Las Vegas area, beat out the reigning champ Nicole Wilkins. So that was sort of an upset, but Latora has an unbelievable physique, super tiny waist, wide shoulders. I think she's going to be a winner for a long time to come. Nicole said she's coming back next year, but she's going to be tough to beat. Latora is going to be very tough to beat. We did have Candace Keene in the contest from Florida, and she dropped down to 5th place, but she always looked great, and I think this was one of the best shapes that Candace ever looked. So congratulations to Candace Keene. In the Bikini Olympia, Florida's India Paulino did very well. She took 4th place. That was won again by Ashley Kaltwasser. And Janet Leug, also from Florida, very, very close 2nd place. Janet did fantastic. I thought Janet had it. It was really close between her and Ashley Kaltwasser. Ashley, of course, is a great champion, and she also repeated. This is her 3rd Bikini Olympia. So congratulations to Ashley, but Janet is knocking on the door. I can see Janet taking over next year. So congratulations to Janet Leug, and also congratulations to India Paulino. She did really well. So that was it for the Olympia. Always a great event. If you can make it out there every year, you should always try to, because it's really a very special contest. But congratulations to all the Florida residents. Like I said, particularly Dexter Jackson, Janet Leug, India Paulino, and Danny Reardon. So you guys all did fantastic. So congratulations on such a great showing. All right, let's go over the results of the Gainesville Classic, which takes place in Gainesville, Florida. That was September 19th. I was out there covering the show. We've got the photo report up right now on floridaphysique.com. And this is a really special event. Tony Curtis is the promoter, and he took it over from another promoter about 5 years ago. And the proceeds from this contest go to benefit cancer or children's cancer research. So it's really a great event, and they had a full house. So thanks to everybody for showing up and supporting this cause. And Tony said over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, they've raised about $25,000 for cancer research, all from this competition. So it's really a great event. In the results, it started with the Masters Men's Bodybuilding. Kevin Culpepper was the winner in the over 50 class, and Kevin, man, this guy is amazing. Over 50, this guy had a lot of muscle mass. He could have came in a little sharper, but I thought he had a fantastic build. Real big arms, real big legs, and when you guys get up in age, like I said before on the show, to be over 50 and compete at that level is really amazing. So my hat's off to Kevin Culpepper, great physique. He really brought the house down too. In the over 40 division, Otis Britt, who has competed quite a few times this year. This was the best I've ever seen Otis. I did an interview with him after the show, and he said he lost about 5 pounds from the last contest, which I believe was the Lakeland, and he took 2nd place there. But he cleaned up here. He won the Masters Men's Bodybuilding Overall, and he also won the Men's Bodybuilding Overall. So Otis looked fantastic, and he's more shows this year. So he's hitting his stride now. He looks fantastic. And then in the over 35, I believe it was his first contest, his name was Hercules Collins II. And Hercules is a tall guy, real lean physique, but really ripped and good muscle mass. And I think he's competing this weekend in Daytona, so we'll watch out for him. In the figure division, another winner, 2-time winner. She won the Masters and the Open. Her name is Tina Thompson. And Tina, like I said, won the Masters. She won the over 30 division, and she won the Open overall. And in the over 40 in the figure Masters, Stephanie Kirkland was the winner there. In the teen men's physique, they had a winner, Joshua Kelly, who looked pretty stoked to be on stage. I think it was his first contest. Congratulations to Joshua. In the novice men's physique, Josh Musselwhite, great last name. Young guy, sort of a small guy, but had a great attitude on stage, great look, beat a lot of competitors to win the novice, so congratulations to him. They had a women's bodybuilding division, only one competitor, Kiki McGarry, who I seen compete last year at the Sunset Classic. The women's physique was won by Heather Miller. And as I mentioned, men's open bodybuilding went to Otis Britt. The Bikini Open went to Crystal Thomas, who is with Team Bombshell, and she's going to be doing some more competitions this year. I'm not sure which ones, but Crystal looked really good. Young competitor. She's a really pretty girl. In the men's physique, the overall went to James McGill, and this was his first overall win. So congratulations to James. He had a really good attitude on stage. So that was his first win. And then they also had a couple really good guest posers. Marcus Lewis, who is a teenage winner. He's won, I think, about 5 or 6 teenage competitions over the last year. He just won the Teenage Florida at the Florida State, and he also took 2nd in the men's open. Marcus has got a great physique. Not a real big guy yet. He's still working on it. I think he's 19 years old, but great posing routine, and he really brought the house down. This guy's got a really good future, really nice young man. And then David Fenty, who is a national level competitor, did really well at the Nationals last year and won his class this year at the Europa. And David's got a killer back, man, super thick, like a pro level back, really thick guy. He came out like a barbarian, like he was Conan the Barbarian or something. He really brought the house down. So good job for both of those guys, Marcus Lewis and David Fenty. for guest posing, and they did this also for free because everything is going into cancer research. So the guest posers are just basically donating their time to do that. So great job to them. All right, that is it for the wrap up from the Olympia and the Gainesville Classic. We're going to take a short break from our sponsors, and when we come back, we are going to be joined by Michael Mattassa, who's going to talk to us about the Daytona Beach Classic this weekend. And then right after that, we're going to have our second part of our interview with Dr. Scott Stevenson. So stay tuned to the Florida Physique Report. We'll be right back. Check out NFE All Natural Warrior Supplements, featuring pure isolate protein made with natural stevia flavor, 1 gram of sugar and no fat. NFE Trim, thermogenic fat burner, boost your metabolism, suppress your appetite, build strength, develop muscle, and shed that body fat. Go to NFE.com today.
NFE stands for No Freaking Excuses.
All right, welcome back to the Florida Physique Report, and my guest this week is Michael Mattassa, and he is the promoter of the big Daytona Beach Classic coming up this Saturday. What's going on, Mike?
Not too much. The usual, just the last-minute things, left and right, nonstop, trying to train clients, train yourself, and keep the show on track.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, because I know how hectic that last week gets before a show. It's crazy.
It's great, though.
So tell us a little bit about this show, Mike. How long have you been doing it now? You and Tony Curtis do it together, right?
Yeah, this is our 5th year, Tony and I. Tony from Munster Clothing. Pete approached me a few years ago and said, you want to do a show, right? I said, yeah, I want to bring a show back to Daytona. He goes, well, this is your chance. But I want Tony to be your co-promoter and stuff, so we make sure it's a quality show. It's done right, and I think we've done a pretty good job doing it right. You know, we've almost doubled our competitors each year.
Wow.
So, you know, last year we topped over 150 our 4th year. Yeah. So, and crossovers, God, it was probably like 200 or 225 with crossovers, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was one of the biggest non-qualifiers in the state.
How's it looking for this year, Mike?
Pretty much the same, it looks like. You know, we don't have a deadline, entry deadline, so we get a lot of people the last day, and there's everywhere we go, there's people saying, I'm doing your show, and I look at the competitor list and they ain't on it.
Yeah, I know. So, I know that feeling.
We're going to be pretty slammed Friday afternoon at check-ins.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
so we're excited. So we're, it doesn't matter, I mean, if we do 150, great. If we do 125 or 100, it doesn't matter. It's, right. For us, it's about giving back to the community and the competitors, and just putting on a quality show for everyone to enjoy, go up there and have a good time.
Right.
The more people we have, we want to have as many competitors as possible, but it's all about the competitors themselves. We want to put a quality show on for the competitors. We want it to be geared toward the competitors and for the spectators.
Yeah.
It's not about us. It's about them. They're what makes our show so great.
Right.
We have a passion for it, but their passion to be on stage enriches us and makes us want to work harder and do a better job.
Yeah.
So that's what we're really striving for, is doing that for the competitors, giving back to the competitors, because that's what makes a quality show.
Now, Mike, how long have you been in the sport? Because I saw, I've seen pictures of you on Facebook when you were competing in bodybuilding, and now you're doing men's physique. So how many years have you been involved in the sport?
My first show in July of 1994, I won the first coast up in Jacksonville.
Okay.
So 21 years.
Okay. So when you got the opportunity to promote a show with Tony 5 years ago, what was it that you wanted to bring to the competitions? Because you've been in the sport for a long time as a competitor. You've seen a lot of shows. I know because I see you at all the shows. So what did you want to bring to the to the stage as a competitor? What did you want your show to be all about?
The competitor.
Okay.
It wasn't about the promoter. It wasn't about anything else. It was about the competitor.
Yeah.
It's the competitor in your district, in your state. That's what we're representing.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Okay. And then this year, you've got some guest posers, which I love because a lot of shows, I go to the shows every weekend, and a lot of shows don't have any guest posers, but you've got quite a few guest posers. So tell us who you got coming this weekend to the Daytona.
First, we've got 2 of our guest posers qualified for the Olympia. One of them chose to compete. The other one said, I'm waiting for next year to get bigger. I think the dude should have competed because the dude looks pretty darn good. Michael Lockett had 3 of 4 top 5 finishes this year, qualified on points. He's going to be our headliner. The man's just got a great physique, tiny waist, big upper body, shredded glutes. People are just going to sit there and go, oh, because his conditioning is just phenomenal. And then not to sell her short or anything, no pun intended, but we got Danny Reardon, who just placed 4th at the Olympia out in Vegas. She looked really good. She's stoked. She puts a great routine together. She's a great poser, great personality. Yeah. She's great with the fans. This is Michael. Then we have my wife Bird at Figure Pro. She's going to be there signing autographs and helping out and everything. So we've got 3 really quality IFBB pros. And who knows who's going to be in the audience. We'll probably have Milton Martinez from Jacksonville. If Candace isn't somewhere, she'll be coming over. We have several bikini pros going to be hanging out, taking pictures with people. So we've got a pretty stocked up venue with IFBB pros and top NPC competitors everywhere. Yeah,
I'm excited because I've seen Michael Lockett compete at the Tampa show, and he is a freak. You're right. And but I've never seen him guest post, so I'm excited to see him. It's always exciting to see these huge IFBB pros with the big names come in, to our local shows. And then Danny Reardon, she's fantastic. She's always a great poser. And like you said, 4th place in her first Olympia at 26 years old, man. She's really something else. And she's going to really be a star, I think, in women's physique.
Oh, most definitely. We're excited. And she seems they both seem excited to be coming too,
Yeah.
So that's better,
Yeah, I just talked to Danny today, and I sent her a text, to see how she was doing over the weekend at the Olympia. And I guess her phone died. So she didn't talk to anybody all weekend, and then she stayed out in Vegas like another day or so. But she's really excited to be coming this weekend. And she's a great poser too, and really popular with the fans too.
Yeah, the first time I saw her, she guest posed for Tony up in at the Gateway Classic, and I was shooting that show, and I got some great pictures of her, and I'm like, we got to get her for our show, and when she gets ready for something big, and boom, here she is. Perfect timing, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool too because there's like a little thing that Tony and Arnold have going on that when they have someone do a photo shoot with them, they win some big show coming up. Who knows? And hopefully they'll do a shoot with Michael, and then he'll be the next one to explode.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. Yeah, you got to talk to them about that little streak that they have. It's a pretty funny joke running around, but it's true.
Now is Arnold going to be your photographer?
Yeah, Arno's doing all the stage photography. I believe we're going to have a video person coming in, and we should have a live stream of the show actually online.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, I'll know more about that in a day or 2 or so before the show. And then we have Daniel Liro, who shoots a lot of men's physique and other competitors. He's doing our portraits, white screen background, high key, high note type stuff. For the competitors as they get off stage, they can bring their family up there and all this other kind of stuff. So we real high quality stuff on stage and off stage.
So competitors can do like portrait shots off stage, and you said they could bring their family and stuff too?
Yeah. They like after the finals, especially, they can have their trophies with them and their families, their kids, their loved ones, friends. Definitely.
That's cool. I like that idea. So where can people go to find more information about it, Mike, if they want to come either compete or they want to come see it?
Well, we're all over Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. I mean, you just do a search for 2015 Daytona Beach Classic, and you should find all the information you need. However, they can also go to the website, thedaytonabeachclassic.com.
Okay.
All the information is there, and they can contact me. My number's on there, and they can send me a message on Facebook as well. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. But we also have the Fitness Expo going on. We've got over 20 vendors going to be in the lobby. So we're excited about that. We've got people doing free kayak and paddleboard demos out in the river and stuff. So
really?
it's,
cool.
Yeah, so we got pretty cool. Yeah, the local fire department's going to be there doing one-person rescue CPR lessons and stuff. And
Okay.
it's good, pretty cool.
What's the venue, Mike? Is it a new venue this year?
Brand new venue for us. Yeah, it's the News Journal Center. It's actually the venue that I wanted to use from the very beginning. However, they wouldn't save me the date. And the man in charge actually had seen how the show has progressed over the past 4 years.
Oh,
and
okay.
he knows any kind of like fly-by-night that we're going to blow out the last day before the show and stick them and stuff, not pay out bills or whatever. And he's like, I want you here this year. And I'm like, dude, I've been trying to get here for 4 years. Like, I'm glad you want me here.
Yeah, that's great.
The time was perfect because we needed a bigger venue, especially for the competitors backstage. We needed more room. Seating-wise, that doesn't matter. 800, 900 people. I mean, that's 700 people. What's the difference? The difference is having more room for the competitors backstage to pump up, to relax, and and to enjoy themselves.
Okay.
And we ran into a problem last year because we grew so fast. We didn't expect to have 150.
Yeah.
We were expecting maybe 100, maybe 110, but extra 30, 40, 50 people made a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So prejudging's at 10, evening show at 6 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 o'clock sharp. The doors open at 9 o'clock for the expo.
Okay.
And the doors will be open all day long for the expo. There's auditorium will open again, I think, at 5 p.m. to start seating. And we have a bunch of little surprises for everybody, as I always do. So I always try to put on a show with some surprises for people.
Okay. All right, Mike. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I went last year, and I had a really good time, and you had some great competition last year. In fact, Arnold was one of the competitors last year at the show, right?
It's great to have him back behind the camera. I gave him too many trophies last year.
Yeah, right. He did clean up. All right, Mike. Well, I look forward to coming out to the Daytona Beach Classic this weekend out in Daytona Beach. And we wish you the best the rest of the week, planning everything. And we wish you the best for a great show.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We got to research it because we've had probably, I think, 5 or 6 of our overall winners over the past 4 years have turned pro.
Really?
So yeah. So I gotta research that and find out the exact number. But we've had, such quality competitors. It's amazing.
Okay.
I think Jay Goss last year was one who turned pro right afterwards.
Yeah, he was a great men's physique competitor. I remember him.
About a competitor from the year before turned pro. So we got a handful. So it's some good people coming in here. We're excited.
All right. We'll do the research on that, Mike, and then I'll interview you on Saturday, and we'll get the exact number.
Oh yeah. I'll see if I wear my tux for you.
All right. All right, Big Mike. Well, take care, buddy, and good luck with the show, and we'll see you this Saturday.
Sir, thank you. We'll see everybody there.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
By doing blood flow restriction, when you create that metabolic stress, you're causing fatigue. So now where you could use, majority of your type 1s and maybe 50% of your type 2s to do an exercise bout, if you got blood flow restriction there, you're going to tap into those type 2s much more frequently.
Right.
So basically, it makes everything harder. And it sounds like you've done some of this?
Yeah, I have. I did it on my legs a couple years ago when I competed last time.
Okay, yeah. You're kind of looking at your leg going, okay, what's going on? Why aren't you moving?
Yeah.
There's like nothing. You've got 2 plates on the knee extension or whatever.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I hope no one sees me doing this.
I know.
But yeah, that's just,
my legs were always the one body part that got flat as I dieted.
Oh, right.
So I thought I would try it with that. And I did it for, I think, at least 2 months. And I was doing leg extensions at least 6 days a week. Using the knee bands to cut off the blood flow on the top of the leg.
Right.
And I think they gained a ½ inch, and they were full for the show.
Yeah.
They weren't flat.
Yeah.
Even though I was really ripped and my body fat was really low, that body part would usually be really flat.
Oh, that's nice.
It was flat before I started the blood flow, and then after 2 months of using it, as I continued to diet and got leaner, they filled out. They gained a ½ inch. And they just filled out, and they were vascular, which they were never vascular before.
Well, you're creating. People ask, how do you get vascularity? And that vascularity is because you're bringing blood back.
Yeah.
Because you've got so much blood there, you got metabolites there. So if you create metabolic stress, you create a stress to bring more metabolites back and bring fresh blood down there.
Yeah.
As well as get rid of the old blood. So I've seen the same thing with people I know who've done it, and I've done it myself.
So if you were doing a typical set, like with a substantial amount of weight where you could only do 10 reps, explain how that works with the muscle fibers. Like if you do your first couple of reps, you're going to use what muscle fibers, and then eventually you're going to use the type 2B. Eventually, is that when you get to the last
At a
rep you can
like
do?
a 10 rep max.
Yeah.
So that might be like
or 6 reps or 8 reps. Or
yeah,
whatever.
that might be like an 80% of 1 rep max.
Yeah.
You're gonna tap into a lot of the type 2s as well, but you're going to be turning on those type 1s
in the beginning, right?
In the beginning, and
okay.
some type 2s.
Okay.
But they're not going to be going all out. Otherwise, you know, they have to relax obviously to lower the weight, but you're not at max effort.
Right.
So rep by rep, as the workload feels heavier and heavier and your
right.
effort level goes up,
right.
more and more of those type 2s that were not being used, of those high threshold motor units, will be called into action.
And the type 2Bs are most responsible for growth. Is that correct?
Well, actually, type 2Bs or 2Xs as they're kind of known now.
Okay.
2B is sort of an old nomenclature. That's a long story there.
Okay.
That's all good. I know what you mean. It's all the same thing. You will tend to kind of end up with very little of those. Those will go away. If you recruit them, then they'll vanish. So the type 2s are the larger ones. When you start using the type 2Bs, they become type 2As, is the easiest way to say that. So you won't find many.
So the type 2As more endurance? A little more like endurance and power?
They can be. See, here's the thing, and I've got if anyone really wants to dig into this stuff, I've got an article on John Meadows' site. I'll give him a plug. I write for him. So
sure, yeah.
I think it's a two-parter, and it's actually, a lot of it's in a book that he and I put out on John Meadows' Mountain Dog Training System.
Okay.
The article is called So You Think You Know Muscle, something like that. And the interesting thing is that these fiber type nomenclature is really sort of our way of trying to put things in a box. So the way that was originally measured is you take the fibers out and you put them through the staining procedure and you get either one color or another color. And they found that if they stain at a certain pH, you can kind of distinguish these different fiber types pretty clearly. And that relates to the type of myosin, which is one of the contractile proteins.
Okay.
If you actually go in, of course, years later, you could actually take the fibers out and then measure what actual myosin is in there. And actually, most fibers are a mix of myosin. So, like, you take a type 2A fiber, and it might have several different types of. It might have 1, 2A, and 2X myosin in there.
Okay.
All blended in. So what really we have is a spectrum. And that spectrum changes with training too.
Right.
So what you'll see is the 2X or the 2B myosin will tend to disappear, and you may see then more fibers expressing more type 2A, which is more endurance oriented, it's more efficient for contraction. So it's a better choice.
So that would increase if you were doing high volume? Higher volume training?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. They haven't done the studies that really have lasted long enough to show that the 2A would become 1. Yeah. Except that you find a lot of bodybuilders have lots of type 1. So there's probably some shift there. There are studies that show some shifts.
Or 2Bs becoming more 2As.
That's what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2Bs, basically if a fiber is mainly like a 2X or 2B, an old nomenclature, then if you use it a lot, it's going to start expressing 2A myosin and become a 2A. Okay. Yeah, you won't find any 2As. Like, basically it'll go to nothing. You might find maybe 10-50% 2X in someone pre-training, as an example, and that would be like nothing, or like 1%. Right, right. I told the story, I taught a class at University of Tampa, and I would always tell the story in this context. When I was in grad school, I learned how to do biopsies. We did a lot of biopsies, and I biopsied myself. We analyzed my biopsy, and there was like maybe 300 fibers in the biopsy sample, and there was one type 2X, and I was so pissed because that meant that was a fiber of a motor unit that I hadn't activated when I was training. It told me I need to train harder because that shouldn't be in there if I'm really going after it. Right. So yeah, that's the thing that will happen. But I think to answer your question, you will find that generally the 2As tend to grow better, at least in the short-term study. Okay. Yeah, and a lot of guys like Tony Freeman or Levrone, a lot of guys that are really good sprinters, and the sprinters tend to have a lot of type 2s. I would love to see, like, as an example, I would love to see maybe now, as well as if we could go back in a time machine and get a biopsy of Tom Platz's squats. Yeah. I would bet from the things he did, the things he was capable of doing, that he probably had a ton of really, really huge type 1s. Just a boatload of them. Right. And you see that actually in cyclists sometimes. Cyclists will have a ton of really, really large type 1s. Yeah. And there's pictures floating around of, I don't remember the names of the guys, some of the sprint cyclists. Yeah. They probably have lots of type 2s. Or that speed skater Eric Heiden, remember how big his legs were? Huge, yeah. And that was all endurance, right?
Pretty much.
I think I can't remember how long their event lasted. It wasn't like 2-minute event. I can't remember the distance. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't super long.
Yeah.
Also, but here's the thing about that stimulus too. If you look at what those guys were doing, they were down in a crouched position. Mm-hmm. So there's an occlusion factor there. Oh. I think people have tried that, and I've talked. Some people are speed skaters, and imagine it's like doing a wall sit for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It burns like crazy.
Yeah.
That's a blood flow restriction.
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah.
With power output at the same time.
Right.
So the system will adapt in all sorts of crazy ways. You can actually find in biopsies. We did this it was a cycling study that I was involved with long time ago. That there was more mitochondria in the type 2A fibers than there were in the type 1 fibers. Mitochondria, your endurance, your powerhouses for ATP production, aerobically. So the type 1s, what you call type 1s, if you split it up in that way with the old technology we're using, can have more mitochondria if you measure a particular enzyme within the mitochondria than the type 1s. So it's still to try to like compartmentalize things by fiber types in that way it's sort of artificial because it's really a spectrum. Yeah. And
I know with Platts, what he did with his training was when he was younger, he was a football player, and then they used to do a lot of heavy squats, and he eventually got to the point where he could do 600-pound squats. Yeah. And he did full squats. I think his body was anatomically correct for doing squats.
Oh, yeah, he was made perfectly for it.
But then when he got to that size and strength, then he was doing more like 50 rep squats, with 315 or something,
The kitchen timer thing, 10 minutes of squat for 2 1/4.
Yeah, 2 1/4, right.
Yeah.
So he was, you're right, he was using both types of training,
Right.
And I think that's when his legs really got freaky.
Yeah.
When he was doing that kind of training.
And all of those stimuli will produce hypertrophy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's really pretty interesting.
Now, I just talked to Lee Haney. We did an interview with him a couple of days ago for the Bodybuilding Legends show. And Lee said that he grew up in a gym where there's a lot of power lifters. So he learned that you had to do powerlifting movements, but he wasn't a power lifter. Right. You have to combine it with rhythmic type bodybuilding movements is what he called it. So like we were talking about how some of the people train in here, I said sometimes I'll see young guys in here doing cable crossovers and they're 150 pounds. Yeah. And he said, yeah, right, you got to build your chest first before you can start doing cable crossover. Right. So he believed in doing the basics, bench press, barbell rows, squats and everything. But he did, I think, anywhere from 6 to 8 reps. So he was training heavy in order to build that muscle.
Yeah, yeah. I totally, I think one thing, because I've noticed that a little bit here too, I don't really pay too much attention. But you look up when you're looking for a machine, you look to see what people are doing. And I think because this happened it's in personal training, personal trainers want to stand out, and a good way to attract people is to do very odd and different stuff. Yeah. If you have, the personal trainer who has his or her client doing the standard basic exercises that everyone does, the stuff that works. Yeah. Like that's no fun. That's I knew that already. I want someone who's going to tell me something that I don't know. Right. So they have them, there's the whole Basu ball thing, and they're standing on Swiss balls and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But also coming up with novel exercises and using cables and those sorts of things. There is something to say for that, just like you said. I think so. But if you get online and if you're gaining a lot of your information from the vast amount of information that's online, you're going to see that those are the videos that stand out. You see, unless the person's squatting like 700 pounds, the video's not going to be that impressive. You're not going to see people tuning. They'd rather see someone doing some, reverse, upside down, ipsilateral, Roman split squat or something like that. As opposed to just a back squat. Right. So people tend to go to those things thinking there might be some secret there. Yeah. It's the same process, funny enough, the same process that you probably used, that I know I use. You should kind of look in the gym, you see what the big guys are doing. You see what other people are doing. So people nowadays are doing the same thing. They're looking and they're seeing big people online, and people with nice bodies are the ones that get the most attention. Those are the videos you tend to see. Yeah. Now, see here, a lot of people, there are a lot of really big people here who do need to do those things to refine their physique. So they're doing the same observational process of gathering information, but they don't have the entire story. Like Lee Haney was saying, is that a lot of that mass came from lifting heavy-ass weights with basic movements. Right. So all those can do it, but for a beginner, I think just learning how to do that basic stuff, especially because it raises your threshold for what hard training is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can I talked to someone who trained with you know, Mighty Mike Quinn.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did an interview with him recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a character, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know him personally. I just know of him. I've heard interviews with him.
Yeah.
And this guy, someone I knew from back in Arizona, said he trained with Quinn, and they did like dumbbell side laterals. This guy was an advanced competitor. He's a national level bodybuilder at the time. And obviously Quinn was kind of a crazy man. And he said he was throwing up in like a half an hour, and all he did was side laterals.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and that was side laterals because he knows how to train hard just with side laterals.
Right.
Because he's been doing squats and deadlifts and bent over rows and the really hard stuff.
Right.
So once you've gained that ability, although, you know, specificity training might suggest otherwise, I think you do develop a mindset of how to really push yourself really hard. And you can do that, you know, doing face pulls, you know, or unilateral tricep press downs with the rope or something like that.
Right.
You can take that level of effort because you know what real excruciating, eyes popping out of your head, feeling like you're going to vomit effort is about, and apply that to those isolation movements. But if you get the cart before the horse... Yeah.
And that's what I see a lot of in here, you know, not to pick on the young guys, but I see a lot of young guys doing more isolation cable type, one-arm cable lateral, whatever, cable extensions, you know.
You can't even name the exercise. Foo-foo. Foo-foo.
And they don't have the mass. They don't have the size. So you can tell they haven't done the heavy basic stuff yet, you know, and they're going right away to the isolation stuff.
Yeah. So, I think, unfortunately...
now, if we were talking about like an older trainer, like, you know, you said you've been training 30 years, I've been training almost 40 years coming up.
Yeah.
So, someone like us who's been, someone who's been training for that long, I can't train obviously as heavy anymore because of the joint issues and things like that.
Right.
So I might be better off doing more frequency, and because the intensity may go down because the weights may go down, or it might not be healthy for me to go that heavy all the time.
Right. Well, I think one thing that you didn't mention, the first thing that comes to mind is find an effective dose, and maybe consider your volume too. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing I hear a lot of times from people is I can get away with squatting like, you know, once a month. And I said, well, what do you do when you squat? It's like, well, I go on and do like, you know, 12 sets. It's like, well, yeah, you're burying yourself. Yeah. And plus, you're not used to squatting. You only do it once a month, and it kind of makes sense how that person would come to that. Yeah. You know? The joints and everything prohibit them, but they would be sore as heck anyway if they squatted once a month.
It's a new movement almost.
Yeah, in a way, exactly. Yeah. What about doing 3 sets of squats, and then incorporate that every week? So that's one idea, one thought. You know, it depends on what's going on. You know, if you've got like, you know, degenerative disc disease, or you got impingement on your, then obviously you're not going to want to do heavy squats. Right. You got to pick the right exercises. Right. But yeah, I think, I mean, one of the things that comes back to my training system that I've incorporated, I do have heavy days in there, loading sets I call them, in the 6 to 12 range. Closer to 12 is where someone, you know, who's having some problems with the heavier weights will probably go, but it's still heavy. Yeah. It's kind of standard straight sets. But the other sets are higher rep sets. I call them pump sets, and this other technique you may have seen me doing called a muscle round. It's like a cluster set and a intermittent set. And the exercises that are chosen for those other 2 set types are up to you. So, you know, let's say you did, like, you say, I'm going to do some heavy flat benching. You like to do it, you know, whatever. I haven't torn a pec yet. I'm going to keep going. I love benching. It always worked for me. Right. But it always gives you a little bit of impingement, bicipital impingement. So you do that on a Tuesday, and you come back and you're going to train chest again on a Saturday, and until that's there. And you go to do a cable crossover, and it's like, no, that's not happening. Yeah. You do something else. You work around it. Right. Without a doubt, you work around it. You find something, and you probably can. Sometimes, what happened this other day? Yesterday when I was in here, I think I went to 4 machines till finally I found the one I could do. Oh, really? Yeah, I just like, I'm going to keep going. I found it, and I finally found something I could do.
So when you're talking about doing the pump sets or the, what was the other one?
Muscle rounds.
Muscle rounds, yeah. Mm-hmm. Would that be in the same workout as where you're doing a heavy exercise and then you go to that at the end?
No, I haven't. That was one option I thought of, is to combine sort of the stimuli of heavy loading with metabolic stress in the same workout. Usually the way I set it up is you lower body heavy loading and then upper body pump sets, and then reverse that. Okay. And then on a separate day you do the muscle rounds. Okay. And muscle rounds are kind of a mixture between an endurance and a loading. Okay. It's a cluster set where you do a set for it. I have to give credit, Leo Costa wrote a book called Titan Training. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he's been around for a while. Yeah. So he had a set type called a muscle round. He didn't really delineate exactly how you do those, how many failure points you have in there, how you adjust the weight if you fail, what have you. So I tried his system, and I ended up basically doing like 6-step drop set. and I just drove myself. I literally overtrained.
Yeah.
So I've kind of refashioned that, kept the name because I didn't want to look like I was trying to steal it from him, but I've refashioned that into a cluster set where you do sets of 4 with about 5 breaths or 10 seconds rest in between. So you 4 reps, rest, 4 reps, rest, 4 reps, rest. And what you can do essentially is...
How long is the rest?
About 10 seconds,
okay.
or 5 breaths worth.
Okay.
So it's actually just about as long as the time lifting. So the tension and rest interval about equal.
Okay.
Which is nice if you want to do something unilateral because you can just switch back and forth without stopping. And what you can do then is take about a 15 rep max weight, the load that you'd use for about 15 reps, and you can maybe get in the 20s, 22, 24 reps because you're taking those rests in there. So as you get to that, it might feel easy at the beginning. You know, it's not that heavy.
Yeah.
But when you get to that 4th one and that 5th one, then finally maybe you fail on that 6th one, you've gotten close to those reps that match actually we talked about earlier, where you're getting near maximal activation of all the motor units that are available.
Okay.
And those are the ones that are activating the whole muscle, as much as you can activate at least.
Okay.
So you're doing more of those high quality reps near the end. So you do a 15 rep set, maybe those last 2 reps are really the killers. If you do a muscle round where you get to your 4th set and the last one's pretty tough, and then you take a break, and then you do 4 more, and the last 3rd and 4th are really tough, take a break, and then the next, maybe the 3 of that last 4 set part of the muscle round are the really tough ones. So now you've got maybe 5 or 6 really hard reps, activating everything.
And that would be the whole workout. I mean,
that's a 1 set, yeah, 1 muscle round. It depends on what your volume is.
Yeah.
Maybe we do another show and I can talk about the pro. I feel like I'm just plugging myself here, but talk about this on so many shows, but yeah, depending on what volume you can handle would depend on how many muscle rounds you do.
Okay.
So if you're someone who like trains like a crazy person, and some of the people who've done this program, they train really, really hard, so they might only do 1 or 2. They might do 1 for back thickness and 1 for back width, and they're done.
Right.
Maybe 1 for chest.
Right.
Because they go like crazy.
Right.
And or they don't have great recovery, or both. And other people can train really hard and they have really good recovery. So the volume would depend on the person. So I have different volume tiers set up that sort of let people periodize at that fashion.
So the workout preceding that for the same body part would be more of a heavier workout.
Yeah. So they would do like everything's trained 3 times a week.
Okay.
So let's take thighs. Take thighs. You might do squats, knee extensions, and hamstring curls on a Monday, and then you would come back that'll be loading sets. You come back on a Wednesday and do pump sets.
Okay.
And those would be anything from 15 or 20 to 30, and you would do like 21s, or I've got several techniques.
Okay.
Just do like fast reps and slow reps, partial reps, something to really create a pump in the muscle, almost like you're backstage pumping up.
Yeah, yeah.
And they might do like the selectorized leg press. Like a sissy squat and like a standing hamstring curl. That would be on Wednesday, and then they come back on Friday, and now they do muscle rounds. So they might do a leg press, something where you can rack and re-rack really easily. That's important for those muscle rounds.
Yeah.
You're going to be standing out there, just wobbling around with a free bar.
Right.
So they would do like some sort of a leg press, standing squat machine even will work, something they can rack really easily. And they might do a quad isolation, hamstring isolation movement, like a dumbbell stiff-legged deadlift.
Okay.
So they do different exercises, different type of stimulus, loading, pump, or muscle round, several times a week with the volume that they can handle and not overtrain themselves.
Will they do that with every body part?
Everything's 3 times a week. Arms don't get hit that often because they're getting hit with everything else.
Right.
So they train arms with muscle rounds and pump sets. People trying to do super heavy bicep curls, it's just a lot of times just asking for joint problems, tendon problems.
So it's almost like a lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body for 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
4 days a week is all.
Oh, 4 days.
Yeah, 4. You could. I mean, the way I've set it up is 4 times a week, load, pump, then reverse that, load, pump, and then 2 days of muscle rounds. There's another version too, but I'm not complicated.
Yeah.
But you could take the load, do it one day, and come in and do the pump, and then the load, the pump. You could spread it out if you wanted to. There are people that want to be in the gym all the time.
If you're doing like 4 days a week, how are you getting everything in?
What do you mean?
Well, if you're doing, like you just gave the example of the legs 3 days a week.
Yeah.
If you were going to do upper body with that, on the other days, wouldn't that be 6 days? Like how are you doing over 4 days?
So like I do load on, like Monday I do load legs, and then I do upper body pump.
Oh, you're doing it on the same day?
Yeah, same day, yeah.
Okay.
It's full body, essentially.
Wow, okay.
2 of those days are full body, yeah. And then the day 3 and 4 would be a lower and then an upper. I have one system, one that's called the basic version, where everything 3 times a week, and then the other one is called turbo. And in that case, on those muscle round days, you do like a lower body focus with some upper body. You take the same volume and just spread it out. So lower with some upper, and the next time would be upper with some lower.
Right.
And that's just because, as you probably have done over the years, a lot of people do. It's like calves is a perfect example. I can bring my calves up. People train their calves every day.
Yeah.
You know, and as long as their feet aren't hurting, you can train calves every day.
Right.
Or they might train their biceps every day. Just do something.
Right.
You know. So as long as you don't do too much and fry your nervous system, which is the key. Yeah. Because otherwise, you know, you're dead in the water. Why not train every muscle group that way? And train everything 4 times a week. Yeah. As long as you can handle it. If you can't handle it, then there's a moot point. But if you keep your volume appropriate and train hard enough, and a lot of people have done this, you know, you can train 4 times a week that way for a lot of things.
Now, would those muscle rounds fry your nervous system?
They could if you try to do too many.
Yeah.
The thing that I really make sure people do is I keep those and I construct them this way. That's a really good question because the Costa way, the way I did, totally. Because I would just like, okay, he said sets of 4, so I'm gonna go as heavy as I can. I do the first set of 4, and then I get maybe 3, and the next one I drop down. I just do all these drop sets. What I suggest people do is take about a 15 rep max, so you can get at least into that 4th set of 4. Okay. Before you hit failure. Okay. And you only hit failure 1 time in the 6 sets of 4. Okay. Because it's those failure reps, and you may have noticed this, once you like have that 1 set where you just sort of blow your wad, pardon the saying, then you're done. Like you maybe get into sets of 8, you know, and all of a sudden you get like a set of 7, and the next one you get like 5 or 4. Right. Even no matter how much you rest, you're just sort of gone. Right. And you can feel that the next day. You train to failure a ton, you're a wreck. You can do 20 sets and hold up a little bit. Yeah. 20 sets to failure is a whole different world of hurt you're putting yourself into. Yeah. So you do the muscle rounds and you get to that perfect form and the reps are continuous. So you're not doing like rep, because that extends the set out and that'll wear you down too. Right. That's a whole different technique. But I think you have to be really cautious in doing that. So widowmaker is what you call it, the dog crap training out. So you do continuous reps, and then when you reach failure, you drop the weight down so you can get the rest of the sets of 4 without reaching failure. Right. So you can focus purely on form. So you might drop down 30%. You get 4, 4, 4, and then you get 3, and you drop down 30%, and then your next 2 sets of 4 are pure, no swinging, no scooting around, no extra muscle use. Right. Purely form, and your focus is just on the muscle you're trying to hit. And that I found is a way to keep the volume the same without just killing the nervous system. Okay. So yeah, but that was the main thing. Is like how I'm going to refashion these because those were killers. Yeah. You know, multiple sets of failure. So as long as people hold to that, and people want, I've had some people say, "Oh, I'm just taking them all to failure." Like they fail and they take the next one they do. I'm like, I can't do that many. I'm like, I know this is why. Right, right. And the whole thing is, I mean, some of the rationale for this comes back to the muscle can handle a tremendous amount of stress far beyond what we can create with our nervous system. And this comes from some animal work. Another article on John Meadows' site that I did that's pretty cool is there are animal models of resistance training where they can take animals and like put weight on their backs and have them climb stairs and do various things that mimic resistance. It is resistance training essentially. And what you see is that the range of muscle growth that you get, an increase, is about the same as what you see in humans with resistance training. So that suggests that rats, at least in that aspect of the topography, that rats and humans are kind of the same. Yeah. You know, in terms of how they respond to resistance training. But you can do things with rats that you can't with humans. Rats and quail and sort of things, animal models. Right. I'm not a huge fan of animal research. They don't do these studies very much anymore, but it tells us some interesting things. Is that you can get a tremendous increase in muscle size far beyond what you can produce with regular resistance training. And they see this while do things like a tenotomy or ablation with an animal. So they'll take the calf muscles and we have got soleus, the gastroc. Some people have plantaris, and humans not all do, but some do. There's some variation there. Rats have a pretty big plantaris, so they might cut the gastrocnemius and the plantaris and leave the soleus. So the animal walks around. After a couple of days, they're walking around normally. That soleus gets huge. Really double its size. It's just gigantic. Yeah. So people don't double their muscle mass, at least not very, very quickly. You can double size in a matter of months and weeks in an animal. So that muscle has a tremendous amount of growth. And I don't think we're going to have too many people volunteering to get their soleus cut to make their gastroc grow. Right, right. But if we see that the animal models and human models suggest the same level of growth, suggests that extreme growth would be possible in humans if we could subject ourselves to that.
Huh.
So the idea is to get as much muscle stimulation out of the resistance training as you possibly can without beating your nervous system to crap.
Right.
Because then you just don't want to train, you don't train as hard, you just don't feel well.
Overtraining,
your appetite goes down, you eventually get to overtraining.
Right.
Your hormone system gets messed up.
Right.
So take that back to the muscle rounds, is that, don't beat yourself to a pulp with those muscle rounds. Try to do everything you can with all the training to make the focus on the muscle, not the nervous system.
Okay.
And there's something to say, I think, for people that are real kind of form Nazis, really clean form. Because obviously, if you're just going bonkers, like you're doing just some crazy deadlift or like rack dead, you're just like throwing the weight, that's awesome. You're going to get tremendous muscle activation with that.
Right.
But because you're pulling so much else into that, so many other muscles, you're also taxing your nervous system.
Yeah.
So you can't get away with that. Some people can, but it's tougher on them.
Yeah.
Not everyone can.
Right.
So I've tried to set up the sets like the muscle rounds with one failure point. When I have people do loading sets, I have this tendency, because of the way I've trained in the past, is like, let's say you got 8 reps on your previous workout, and you're logging these sets too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I got to get at least 9 this time, or 10. So what do? You pace yourself differently. Instead of doing 6 and then resting, you get 7, then you finally get that 8. Now you do 4 or 5, and then you rest and you get 2 more. And so you took a set, it might have taken you 30 seconds to get those 8 reps the previous time, and now it takes you 40 seconds. And you didn't really get any stronger. All you did was take more rest in between reps.
Right.
And that's why you got more reps.
Right.
So what I have people do, and the way I have them execute these on pretty much everything, is do the reps continuously. And what that means is that your nervous system seems to do better. And I've just totally found that. Like doing a Widowmaker, you probably like a 20 rep Widowmaker where you stay near the bar as long as you can until you just kill yourself.
Yeah.
Those just destroy your nervous system.
Oh, totally.
So these are hard when you go continuously, and you have to fight it because you want to stop.
Yeah.
If you just keep going like that, you're going to push yourself right through those high threshold motor units. By the time you get to those last reps, you're going to reach failure as long as you keep going. You just keep moving the weight, but don't stop. And so you're going to get great muscle activation. And my sense is, from playing with this, the people who are doing the program, I had beta testers who tested it out, is that executing the sets that way basically creates a greater relative focus on the muscle than on the nervous system. So you can get away with a higher volume of training than if you did those discontinuous sets where you rested in between, and just kept on going like that.
Yeah.
And plus, it gives you a very clean way to note your progression.
Yeah.
Because I know I was totally guilty of this when I do dog crab training, which I did for many years. It's very much a predecessor of what this is. Is that, like, come hell or high water, I'm going to get more reps.
Yeah.
I don't care if it takes me 15 minutes. I'm standing in the bar until I get that last rep.
Right.
Well, I didn't do anything except kill myself,
Right.
and cause some neck pain from the bar being on my traps.
Right.
So that's one of the things I think that allows you to get away with the higher volume.
So with this type of training, are you able to track the progression? Are you able to make it more progressive each time?
Yeah, what I have people do is the pump sets are fun, for fun, basically. Apply the technique, and that adds a level of intuition. How are you feeling today? What exercise you're going to do?
Yeah.
You want to do a straight set? You want to do something that's really kind of slow? Your joints feeling bad? The loading sets basically constitute, pick your 3 best big mass building exercises.
Okay.
So that would be, some sort of a rack dead, probably a bent over row, maybe like a T-bar row.
Yeah.
A pull down, a weighted shin, that sort of thing.
Right.
A leg press, a standing squat, a squat of some sort.
Right.
All the big movers for most people. Compounds, and there are also some isolations. And those ones you rotate through. So you have like an A, a B, and a C rotation. You come back to those. And you can stretch those over many, many blasts. If you're doing it right, and you're not trying to make monster jumps, which a lot of people end up doing though, is you track those, and those are the ones where you go in and like, okay, I got a logbook, I got to beat it. That logbook's my enemy.
Right.
I'm kicking its ass today.
Right.
You're going down, buddy.
Right.
Come hell or high water, but you got to keep the reps continuous. And then you step back and you got to totally switch gears, take your head off, put a new one on, and do the pump sets. And now you're just trying to kill the muscle with whatever technique you think. If you got a crazy training partner and he says, all right, today we're going to do magic wand. I'm just making this up. We're going to do magic wand sets. Just pick the weight up, and I want you to just move it with my finger. And he's just going to like do this, and he's going to make you move back and forth with the weight until like it goes for about a minute and you're freaking dead.
Yeah.
Then you write down your logbook and a magic wand set. It could be whatever.
Right.
So that's just fun. And
that you're not tracking.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you're doing the same techniques, you want to like write down. I used you know, if you did like 21s.
Okay.
Say I got 21s and then with 3 reps extra on the end, I use 100 pounds. And the muscle rounds, the way I have people do that is, yes, look at those, pay attention, but don't be a slave to the logbook on that. Because those, I think it's really, really important on those days because those are heavy and you're going to failure. They're heavier than the pump sets generally, not a ton, but just the nature of those, you tend to want to progress, is make sure you're not doing something that aggravates you. So like if your low back's a little sore from, you know, doing rack deads 2 days before that, you know, don't go and do a standing squat that just kills your back. And if it just kind of tells like, oh no, it's not good, work around, find something. So, and your order may vary. So you may have, like, you may do a decline press on your loading set that week, and now you're going to do, and you didn't do a whole lot of upper chest work on the pump sets, so now you're to muscle rounds, so it's like, okay, I'm going to do upper chest. So that day you do an incline barbell press in the rack where you got a spotter, say. So you can just put the weight down. You don't have to worry about racking and re-racking. So that was your first exercise that day. The next time you come around, you're like, you know, I'm going to do incline barbell press. I like that, but I need to do something else. I'm going to do a pec deck first. Well, of course, that pec deck is going to influence your strength and performance on the incline. So you're not going to be able to compare those two so much. But you know what weight you used. So you kept that in there, and you got a nice reference. And you may try to beat that. If it's 3 weeks later, and you can do an exercise before you do the incline, and beat the performance on the incline 3 weeks before when you did it first, then you progressed. Even if it's just the same or maybe a rep or two shy, you know you made some progress. So you can kind of log those things and see where
that means the routine's working, the muscles are growing.
Exactly. I've had, like, there's one client who's in the UK, and the first couple of blasts, usually you want to blast for about, I set these up periodized, you blast for about 6 weeks or so, or less than that, depends on the person, and then you take a couple of weeks and do a cruise where you just go to muscle round workouts. And he's come back on his loading sets, for instance, where he was getting like 8 or 10 reps, and he picks the weight that he thinks he should use to stay within the rep range, and he get like 18 or 20 reps. And he was getting really upset. He's like, how can I keep on dropping the ball? He's thinking he's not logging his weight appropriately. But it was happening every time. He's actually a mathematician, so he probably may even be watching this. He knows who he is. And it happened to him like repeatedly. He kept on like just blowing things out of the water. He would do it on the muscle rounds. He was getting like 22 reps before he reached failure, like a 6 set of 4. And now he gets like to that 6th set. He even bumped the weight up, and now he gets like 10 reps on the last one. So he, you know, increased his reps by like 20%.
Wow.
Yeah. And some of that I think.
How did his physique change?
He's let's see. I'm trying to think. We've been working together. I have to go and look. He's up to about 220 pounds, and it's hoping to be at 100 kilos. He's going to get a DEXA done, I think this next coming week, so I'll know more then. But his skin folds, he's gone up, I think, I can't remember the numbers, because he puts it in kilos, so it doesn't really pop in the head. I think he's up like 15 kilos in like about 18, 20 weeks, and his skin folds have hardly changed at all. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
He trains really hard. The thing I think that why this system seems to work for people is just the variety and the frequency. It's so different from what a lot of people have done. I mean, it's not that it's necessarily anything special. I like to think it's special. This is my baby. But you go to anything, like I think this, and you know, all respect to Menser, but I think one of the things that happened with Menser, for instance, is he would take bodybuilders who were doing massive amounts of volume, who maybe weren't growing that well from it because it wasn't that suited for them. And then he put them on this you know, very low volume program, and they grow like crazy because one, it was a change, and they've been overtrained in the first place. So just those two things are going to mean someone's going to grow really well. And he would probably if the people who are doing well in a volume program aren't going to be the ones that come to him anyway. So he was getting, you know, a biased selection of people who were overtrained, getting a new program. So I think, you know, people who start my program probably are not doing all that well on whatever they've been doing to a certain degree. Otherwise, they wouldn't be changing. So they need something different. They get something different. It's a new stimulus. They're going to grow. So that's going to happen no matter what. So I mean, that's just being honest. That's kind of how it is. But I think the novelty of it all, it's just fun. You go in there and you're like, there's no holds barred to those muscle rounds. You can like go, I'm going to be crazy man and do all barbell stuff today because I feel like it. Or I can do, you could even do foo-foo exercises if you want. Because you know you're coming back to the heavy stuff.
The next workout.
I think this is a situation where those foo-foo exercises actually make sense.
Yeah.
You know, because if you've done, you know, barbell presses and you've done barbell overhead presses, and now you're to triceps, your triceps muscle around, you want to do a unilateral thing because you didn't feel the long head on anything. It's mostly lateral head because of the pressing you've been doing. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Do that. That's the idea of those muscle rounds. So it's fun to do foo-foo exercises every once in a while because they're new and they're different.
Right.
So that keeps people motivated too.
That's interesting stuff, Scott.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thanks for joining us on the show, Scott.
Welcome.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
A lot
We
of
covered
information.
more than we thought. Yeah.
A lot of information for our audience to digest, but we'll have you back on. We'll talk about something else.
Very good. I'll be here.
All right.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Dr. Scott Stevenson, this is John Hansen for the Florida Physique Report.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us for the Florida Physique Report, episode number 42. Join us next week when we will have the results of the Daytona Beach Classic, which takes place this weekend, September 26th in Daytona Beach. And we'll also have the results of the Ruby Championships, which takes place this weekend in Boca Raton, Florida. And hopefully we'll have some more guests. And we will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you then.